Hi, welcome to Pictures in Motion. My name's Colin Lostio,
And I'm David Glantz.
and here. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
But
continue.
I was about to inform the audience that we are about to talk about the top 5 best and worst films of this past year, along with any movie news that has come into the present day time. To begin with, though, I guess we have to clean out with all the bad movies that just came by this year.
And boy, were there many. Number 5, starting off at number 5, I have Mama, starring Jessica Chastain. And my only concern with this movie and why it's number 5 is, how do you make a bad movie with Jessica Chastain? Which she's not an Oscar nominee for Zero Dark 30, just as of last year. And you come out with this movie and you think, all right, produced by Guillermo del Toro, possibility of being good. Sink right to the bottom for me. It was just a bad piece of work. But, again, all preference. I'm not a big fan of horror movies either, so I guess I'm biased. I don't know, what's your take?
I thought she did okay, but my number 5 worst film of this past year was G.I. Joe Retaliation. All it really did was try to trend through crossed waters that we've already seen with Rise of Cobra, and it did absolutely nothing to the action department, nor did it give any. It didn't give any value whatsoever for Bruce Willis's character at all, and the action was very standard, and the script was as predictable as it was when fans cried out with Channing Tatum's character getting killed off, and it just rewrote the script and made it even more so, just as bad as Rise of Cobra.
I totally agree. They should no longer make Hasbro movies, should they not?
No.
Ugh, it's rough. All right, coming in at my number 4, Kick-Ass 2, apologies for my language. Again, really just a flat disappointing movie. I came into this hoping, for the sequel because I loved the first Kick-Ass. I was a big fan of it. This movie came out and it was boring. It was dull. The action sequences were poorly put together. Jeff Wadlow, the director and the writer, very inexperienced, did not know how to really handle an ensemble cast. The only good part was Jim Carrey, and of course, in all bad movies, they underutilized the best part. So Jim Carrey as Captain Colonel Stripes, he wasn't that good. And it was just bloody, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was a boring movie. I sat there for an hour and a half just like, when's this going to end?
Well, I don't know if it was just as boring as 47 Ronin, which I have to say, when you have a concept and story setup of Keanu Reeves and a bunch of rejects from Last Samurai going out and fighting demons, witches, and dragons and armored-suited samurai, you should have had at least a competent action-adventure movie, and instead you get a movie that was just as boring and as predictable as any other action film that has occurred since, last month with such examples as Legend of Hercules or, any other low-grade trash that you would usually find in the $5 seats. Honestly, it was so boring that I started getting very tired after I walked out of the film and actually took an hour of a nap.
There are very few movies I'll get migraines during, and luckily enough, I saved myself from a migraine from seeing this movie. Enough negative reviews have actually scared me away, and Keanu Reeves just does not have a track record for me anymore.
I thought he did fine in this film, but the script and the story were just not enough to be engaging.
I understand. All right, coming in at my number 3, everyone's going to smite me for this, but bear with me. Oh, Man of Steel. It's so good. It's so good. It's not good. I wish I could have those 2.5 hours back right now because I could have done something so much better with my life. Henry Cavill was great. Russell Crowe was good, and the opening of Krypton was great. Oh, you're singing praise. Wrong. Horrible script. David S. Goyer bombed this movie. Destroying Metropolis looked beautiful for about 25 minutes until I was like, really, I want to go to bed. I saw this movie in IMAX, and I still hated it. Now, if that doesn't say something, I don't know what does. Bum movie. DC right now is just going down the drain. I'm really disappointed.
I actually did enjoy this film. I'm more of a true-hearted Superman fan myself. But I will have to say that the script really wasn't that well done. The atmosphere, I do admit, was very confused, and even the camera work at times I was nauseated by. But I enjoyed it more so, at least better than Superman's 3 and 4. So, yeah, but I would have to say my number 3 worst film of this past year was Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. And honestly, there was no hope for this movie for me. The tone of what this film was going for as a genre confused me in bewilderment. It was failed as a comedy movie, it failed as an action movie, and when it desperately tried to be a horror film, it just did not work. So, but yeah, what was your number 2 worst film?
My number 2 is number 40, or not number 43, sorry, movie 43. Utmost piece of crap there is. I kid you not. When I used to work at a theater, I went and saw about 5 minutes of this movie and left knowing if I stayed for another 5 minutes, I would have just cried and quit the theater. It was honestly, it was that bad. And how you get that bad with that cast, it blows my mind. And Peter and Bobby Farrelly, I get that they're not that good. They made Stuck on You, which I thought was actually kind of a sentimental, funny comedy. And Fever Pitch, not because I'm a diehard Red Sox fan, because it was a decent romantic comedy.
Well, I think they were just blackmailed on that to begin with.
Oh, they ruined, I think, half these people's careers by making this movie, and I feel terrible for them. The movie bombed at the box office. Farrelly should never make a movie again. And poor people, especially Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
What a good guy in such a bad movie.
Well, I avoided that film, and instead I replaced that with my second worst film, and probably one of the worst ways you could have added onto a franchise, Die Hard 5. I refuse to call it by that title. It's as stupid as it is lazy. I hated almost everything about this film. It felt as hollow and as wretched as every single action film that has occurred in the last 5 years and has been trying in vain to capture the glory of Die Hard. And despite people hating Die Hard 4, I at least give credit to that film because it at least had the elements. This film did not have any of those elements. It honestly looked like a Arnold Schwarzenegger film that was shelved for 10 years, and they decided, oh, let's just slap Die Hard on it and call it a Die Hard film. I absolutely hated this film.
Couldn't agree anymore. As a matter of fact, I don't even want to talk about it because that movie literally will get me mad. It was, I don't know, I'm not really sure how it didn't make me my number one. Probably because my number one is that much worse in my opinion. And of course, it's the third one in a trilogy, and it's the worst movie, in my opinion, of all time, The Hangover Part 3. Absolutely smited this movie. I sound like such a hateful person today, but these are the wrong movies to watch, and I wish I could get these hours back in my life. I don't know where to begin with this movie, other than the fact that it's a retread of the first two in the first place, but it's just extra violent, which is just dumb. The characters are beyond dumb. Poorly written script. Everyone's dull. There's no depth. There's no nothing. And it was bogus from the get-go. And I literally am out of words to express how much I despise this movie. I dislike it that much.
I give it one word: avoidable.
Easily avoidable. And just don't waste your money on it and don't rent it. Just let these guys relish in their shame because it's really that bad.
This was a film that some people did offer up to me to watch with them, and thankfully I did not see that film, so I did not have to experience that pain. Unfortunately, my worst film of this past year, though, was from a director I once respected and cared about, which is M. Night Shyamalan
We all did.
with After Earth. After Earth is by far one of the most boring, laziest, most self-vanity projects I've ever seen. It's a very strange art imitates life type of film where the usually charismatic Will Smith has now been sucked out of any soul-driven emotion that he just becomes this wandering husk of a human being, and he's trying in vain to Hollywood and people that Jaden Smith is an actor. I'm sorry, folks. I hate bashing child actors for just failing as an actor, but if he wants to come back and actually prove himself to be somewhat competent in Hollywood, you've got to put this kid underground for the next 10 years before you bring him back up and actually try it over again, because the script and his acting just do not work for this film. The only thing that this film had was a good concept, but it's bad.
I totally agree. Just look at their faces on this poster and they're like, what the heck am I doing here? Like, if you just look at their eyes, they're just miserable. Yeah. All right, folks, that's all we got for the worst movies. We're going to be right back after this commercial break with good stuff to talk about, the best movies of our favorite movies of this past year. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey! Turn here. There. Excuse me.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Hi guys, welcome back to Pictures in Motion. Once again, my name is David Glantz.
And my name is Colin Lostio.
Thank you for joining us on our first ever episode, and we're having a lot of fun. We just got done ranting about our worst films of the year,
Yeah.
and now we finally get to enjoy ourselves just a little bit and talk about our 5 favorites from last year.
And thankfully, there were a lot this year.
Thank goodness. Starting off with my number 5, it was released at Toronto Film Festival and directed by Dallas Villanueva, and starring who I just said was in the second worst movie of the year, Hugh Jackman, Prisoners. Fantastic film. It's very intense. It's very disturbing to watch, but it's got this emotional toll, and the performances are absolutely flawless. I loved every 2.5 hours of this movie. I couldn't get enough.
For number 5 for me, I would have to say it would have to be the polarizing argument of Star Trek Into Darkness. Honestly, I do have to see why the Trekkies hated this film, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. The action was fun, the style of it, I enjoyed the characters. Honestly, this was just a perfect night for me to have seen this film with my good friend of mine, and we managed to have a blast at the end of it. 15 minutes were a little bit shallow, but it was fun nonetheless.
I agree. J.J. Abrams, he's a remarkable talent, and even though I'm not a Star Wars fan, I've got great faith in, say, directing a new Star Wars series.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a big J.J. fan. All right, coming in at my number 4 is, I know higher on your list, is Gravity, and is an absolutely flawless piece of cinema. There was rave reviews coming out of the Toronto Film Festival when it came out in October, and everyone's like, George Clooney, Sandra Bullock, directed by Alfonso Cuarón, and I'm like, I'm definitely in. And then they're like, this is the best movie of the year. And then they're like, this is the best space movie ever. And when I went in, I had my expectations were this high. They came out this high. It was that good in every sense. It was intense. The story was kind of whatever, but story plays a complete second act in that movie. The visuals were the best I've ever seen, bar none.
Yeah.
And it was an absolute joy to watch. I lost myself from the get-go, and I was invested, and I was on the edge of my seat. I was kind of freaking out. I was claustrophobic. The editing, the cinematography. Probably should be higher on my list, but I like my other 3 better, but phenomenal movie.
Yeah, I love this film, and I would like to talk about it some more. But for number 4 for me, it was the Disney animated film Frozen. And this film really did shock me with the visuals, the songs. It felt like it was a Disney film back from the Renaissance era, like Lion King, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. It was everything that I dreaded about this film with its elements. I enjoyed every little bit of it. Honestly, it's a perfect family film. It teaches about a new message about showing true love to somebody, and it doesn't go by the standard cliches that you would predict in a Disney film.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. All I gotta say is, let it go, let it go. Great, great movie, man. It brings back Disney's to its heyday, and look out, Pixar. Disney's on its way, and I think Disney will soon triumph the Pixar monster conglomerate that it was. And even though Disney owns Pixar,
Well, this film was certainly better than Monsters University.
completely better. By far the best anime film of the year. Right. All right, coming at my number 3, my favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. I'm a big fan of Shaun Dead and Hot Fuzz, but The World's End. This was actually my favorite movie coming up into November, until I'll show you my next 2. Awesome movie, man. In my opinion, Simon Pegg was just as good as DiCaprio, as McConaughey, as good as anybody in the race this year, and I think he had his argument to be nominated for Best Actor. But nonetheless, Edgar Wright, man, completely underrated director. I can't wait for him to get his big break with Ant-Man. And it's funny. It's got great British humor. The visuals are awesome. Awesome fight scenes. Man, that opening fight scene in the bathroom, hysterical and awesome. And I couldn't get enough of this movie. I've watched it probably 6 or 7 times since I bought it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, Edgar Wright can do no wrong for me. Arguable with the best of the Cornetto trilogy, but it's your opinion, and I will respect it.
To
as
each
such.
their own.
Yes, and I did enjoy the trilogy as a whole. But for my number 3, it would have to be, I'm sorry, what was it again? Oh, American Hustle, the film that's going to get all the Oscars this year. And honestly, this film probably has a great chance against Gravity, which, spoilers, is my number 1 favorite film. But everything about this film, costume designer really should get an Oscar nomination for that, if he hasn't already. But Christian Bale plays probably one of the most complex characters I've seen lately. Jeremy Renner, you feel so sorry for by the end of it, and everything about this film just manages to take place, and I don't know, it just felt like a long-lost Martin Scorsese film.
I totally agree.
Everything, the tone, the story, I just enjoyed the hell out of it.
And as it, and a matter of fact, I'll talk more about that soon. Coming in at my number 2, I had 12 Years a Slave, and I know this is everyone's favorite movie of the year, but rightfully so. This is a powerhouse of a film. I saw this movie twice, and I cried both times. And I love the movies, I know it's a movie. This movie, it sucked me right in. Chiwetel Ejiofor is most deservingly of the best Oscar, but we'll talk about that eventually. So good. Steve McQueen is just a masterful director. He used to be an artist. He's come in. He made Shame. He made Hunger. And this movie, the script by John Ridley, the adapted screenplay about Solomon Northup. And it shows you just the treacheries of hell. And you are put through hell with this guy through the whole movie, from the cotton fields to the beatings. There's 2 scenes in particular I will not tell you about because everyone should see this movie and it should be shown in schools for history lessons about slavery. It'll make send shivers up your spine. And Fassbender and Cumberbatch and Paul Dano, and just an absolutely a flawless film. And if it wasn't for my number 1, this would be my favorite film. Best movie about slavery, bar none, ever.
I do regret not watching this film, but instead I did watch one of Tom Hanks' showboat movies. It would have to be, well, a movie about a boat, Captain Phillips. It is one of the most human stories that has come out recently based off of a true event that occurred back in 2009. The acting in it is very well done. I just felt like Tom Hanks was snubbed this year for Oscar bait. And I have to say, it's probably one of the most captivating stories that has occurred on the ocean in a couple of years. I don't know about Titanic, but whatever. This movie just torpedoes Titanic down to the bottom. Yes, that was a bit dark, but hey, it's more interesting than Titanic, I have to say.
All right, fair enough. Just look at that face. Oscar bait, totally right. He got snubbed. Coming in at my number 1, he already talked about his number 3, American Hustle. I saw this movie and was floored. The music, the costumes, best ensemble cast I've seen in the movie in God knows how long, and all praise David O. Russell. This guy is a magician behind the camera, let me tell you. Scorsese is there, but Scorsese's hit his prime. O. Russell's just coming up right now, and I'm going to start ranking him up there with the elite. I love this movie. Best crime caper of the past 10 years, without question, in my opinion, but to each their own. What's your number 1?
Well, I think my spoilers and your number 4, it was Gravity. I'm in space for the first 40 minutes of this film. I just enjoyed everything about it. Sandra Bullock managed to redeem herself for me after her overrated role in The Blind Side, which was an okay film, but this film just beats it immensely. George Clooney is still the ever-loving actor that I always manage to love him in every single film. Batman Robin not so much, but the editing is seamless and perfect. The scope of the scale of space and Earth and every little detail when it comes to having a realistic adventure involving probably the worst space disaster that could happen.
I totally agree.
And expect symbolism out the wazoo, but it does it very, it does it very comfortingly, and it doesn't insult you when it comes to certain points. It's just breathtaking. Literally, I mean, I felt after the hour mark, I just wanted to get a handbag and just started breathing in heavily.
Yeah, I agree. I've been this captivated by a movie in some time, and just the intensity and the toll that comes with it. It's a movie experience. You have to see the movies. If you don't, you don't. All right, well, that's what we got for our best movies of the year. We're actually going to come back with the movie world news, the big headlines. What has happened in the world of movies? Well, Colin and I and our good buddy Nyle, who you can't see on screen right now, will be discussing. Stay with us.
Hello, welcome back to Pictures in Motion. My name's Colin Lostio.
David Glantz.
We're here to talk about what's been happening in the movie news lately. We just finished our top 5 best and worst films. Now we're going to turn to Nyle, and he'll give us questionnaires from the internet and seeing what's been happening recently in the news.
Nyle.
Hello, everyone. I've been looking up some tweets from certain movie sites and talking about news. We just recently found out that Ellen Page actually came out that she is gay on Valentine's Day, and she quoted that I'm tired of hiding. Also, what we have here with the Lego Movie topped the box office weekend with an estimated $48 million, with About Last Night coming in second to $30 million. I saw the Lego Movie recently last week. It was very awesome.
Totally
Everything
agree.
is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
That's the whole song. I downloaded the song, actually. I think you'll like this. Gravity was a big winner at the BAFTAs, won 6 awards, but 12 Years a Slave took top prize as best film.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? And I was hearing, as you were saying, Gravity won, what was it? It was Best Director was its big one, and won Best Cinematography for Emmanuel Lubyansky, I believe.
I don't have the awards. I just found out I won 6 awards.
And as you were saying, 12 Years won, and I do want to talk about this really quick, was 12 Years has won Best Film again, which means it's pretty much a lock to win Best Picture at the Oscars.
Yeah.
My big surprise was Cheadwell finally won his deserving award as Best Actor for the British Film Academy. Now, we know Cheadwell's British and all, but McConaughey's been sweeping the award season. Is this going to shake things up? This is what I'm really excited to hear.
I don't know if Dallas Buyers Club with McConaughey's character will win anything, but he definitely needs to be recognized more. I will admit I did not see the film, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've heard his performance manages to probably be the best role that he's done so far. But getting back to the earlier bit of the news, I would have to say that Ellen Page's big reveal as to her opening up being gay, I think that's very understated. I honestly don't think when it comes to people like that having courage about that often, it's never talked about as much.
Right.
It's always great for celebrities to do it, though.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a great publicity stunt, but also I think it's good for her to actually do it. I think people, I don't know about you, but like you've always kind of had that vibe of maybe that's the case for her, but nonetheless what you were saying is it's the right thing to do. It takes guts to do it.
It takes a lot of guts to do it. And yeah, I mean, it really needs to be talked about that often. You don't see a lot of athletes, cops, or firemen talking about it. So an actor or an actress showing that, it should open up that view more so. I mean, yeah.
I absolutely agree. And as you're saying about how everything is awesome with the Lego Movie, which you haven't seen yet, am I right?
No, I have
We
not.
will not spoil anything. Do you think it's going to cross the 200 million mark this week? It's already got 140.
I think it should, honestly. It was a great movie. It was a great story. The ending will blow you away. It was awesome. That's the song.
It's so awesome.
Everything is awesome.
It's so awesome. I saw it with 3 of my buddies, and I'm not going to lie, all of us were rolling on the floor laughing.
I kept seeing.
I think it's the funniest movie.
I saw a lot of bad Facebook comments, though. A lot of people got kind of too old for like the humor and stuff. Some people said
so
like,
smart.
yeah, some people just said like, oh, it's garbage. Oh, I just went to take my son to go see this. But I
Give
went
it a
there by
shot.
myself. I
Give
don't
it
even
a
care.
shot,
It was
man.
great.
It's got Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to see that hopefully this weekend.
Yeah, you definitely should. So what else we got now? Where's some movies?
Today is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's birthday.
Happy birthday, JGL. The one and only.
And also, we're trying to wonder which one's better, the 1978 RoboCop or the 2014 RoboCop.
Probably nostalgia factor, but the original. I'm sure the remake probably has obviously better special effects, but story-wise and character-wise, I just do not think it comes even close to Paul Verhoeven's classic.
Oh, that's the other thing exactly. It's Paul Verhoeven. There's something about this German director that he's not great, but you love his movies. And they got called following Starship Troopers. This is his other one.
Yeah, you know what?
Like-
that movie is so it's so cheap with the soap opera actors.
God.
But it keeps getting better every
It
time
gets
you
better
watch that
every
movie.
time you watch it. You appreciate for how bad and awesome it is.
Yeah.
And the new RoboCop is they're saying, it's not as bad as a remake as everybody is saying per se. Like you figure a remake of a 1980s classic, it's gonna bomb. Like Endless Love came out, it was a terrible movie. They're saying this is a good flick. There's some great action sequences, but you can't beat Peter Weller as RoboCop. Like Peter Weller is RoboCop.
Well, RoboCop 3 didn't learn its lesson from that.
But it's RoboCop 3. But he's still RoboCop. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
Sylvester Stallone's Rocky.
Yeah, but Weller wasn't in RoboCop
No,
3.
that's true. He wasn't actually. So it doesn't even count.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think Jose Padilla is a good director. I think he's got a great future in Hollywood.
I'll give it credit. It seems more competent than, say, the Total Recall remake, which
Oh,
that's
God.
talk
brutal.
about having such a good source material that you could have taken more seriously than the Arnold Schwarzenegger film, and then just doing absolutely nothing with it. Sure, it's a serious tone, but nothing in its theme, nothing in its message has been altered. It's just honestly the same thing that the original did.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Anything else? A few more
A
questions.
woman was jailed for not returning a Jennifer Lopez movie 9 years after renting
I
it.
heard the story, and all I gotta do is laugh. I've got nothing else.
How do you keep a movie for 9 years? and
How do you
not
keep a
return-
movie for 9 years unless you forget about it? How less do you keep a jailer movie for 9 years?
Oh my gosh.
How do you arrest somebody? What is the charges?
How can
You kept a movie for too long and you owe money.
how can Blockbuster file a lawsuit?
They're done.
It's kind of dead,
Dead.
isn't it?
Unless they still got like a showbiz, but they're definitely dead. I think that's a really funny story. I love how it made movie news. I think that cracks me up.
And the last one I have is that we are starting the countdown for Marvel's Avengers: Age of Ultron.
That we are.
I'm very excited for that.
That we are.
Yeah.
We have started shooting officially in South Africa. Or is it South Africa?
I don't
They
know.
either way they started recently. South America. They started shooting recently, and it's believed that they are shooting the Hulk scene. It's the first scene right now. So it's underway, and I don't know about you. I'm very excited for this. Got some good Phase 3. Guardians of the Galaxy comes out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Actually, the trailer comes out tomorrow.
Oh, thank God.
So
Been waiting for so long.
I'm waiting.
yeah.
Speaks of which, do you guys have really quickly, because we got to wrap up, favorite or most anticipated movies for this year? You guys got to pick really quick?
Gojira.
Good.
Yeah, I'm excited for that
Gojira.
too.
Go. You want to see Godzilla also?
Yeah. I
Alright.
think now they're going back to they're making the original Godzilla look. I
I-
saw that in the trailer. It looks amazing.
It looks awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
great cast, great director,
Yeah.
great Godzilla monster, and I'm sorry guys, X-Men. I think we're getting back to where it should be, and it's leading up to X-Men Apocalypse, and the trailer, it looks like it might be a Best Picture candidate. And I guess we'll see when it comes out in May, won't we?
I have to say that movie is a close second for me.
It looks awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us on Pictures in Motion, Nyle, Colin. It was great fun. It was our first one. And, we can't wait. Of course, next week is the big week in movies.
Yep.
Oscars next Sunday. Make sure you guys check that out. Make sure you also check us next week, next Monday at 8:30. We are live here at SUNY Fredonia. Thanks again for joining us. Once again, I'm David.
I'm Colin.
I'm Nyle.
That's Nyle. Thank you. Good night.